can do that too, and then you don't have to think about it. You're just kind of accumulating there constantly, all month. But it really makes a big difference in your practice.
You can't do it once. It works better.
But so it's just a good thing to do, and a lot of times I won't promise anything, but if I have no money and then I take my last dollar and I bring it to the Three Jewels with proper intention, all beings in mind, something beautiful happens and my life's more magical. Thank you.
Thank you, Sam. Let me just fill the gaps for those of you who are fairly new at the Three Jewels. And I really like that Geshe Michael didn't charge for teaching Dharma, teaching how to get happy, how to get enlightened. I thought that was cool because I could take advantage of it. Yeah. Seriously, I went to my first meditation class only because it was free. Yeah. The reason that there's no charge for the stuff that is going in your mind at the moment is because there's no price on it. How much do you charge people if it can really kill all your sufferings utterly and every person that you know and produce happiness that is beyond what you currently can imagine? How much do you pay for that? And how much effort do you go to learn that, really, if it's possible? Yeah? If you go to Columbia University, I'm a great advertisement for Columbia. You're going to get an intellectual understanding of these things. You can go to any comparative religion course anywhere, and you'd pay several $1,000s just to go and sit and get some ideas in your head that will go away when you get old and die. Like every other idea that will go away when you get old and die. But if you get it deeper than that, just from an intellectual perspective to an habituation, it will produce things in your experience, in your continuum of mind. So how much do you charge for that? And so you can't charge for true wisdom. There's no price. There's no price to stop suffering of your own or your world. But we live in a world, and this place, the Three Jewels, it took me a long time, and I guess I'm still going through iterations. This place, the Three Jewels, pays rent, they pay electricity, they just have this place open for people of all sorts, not just Buddhists. There was an AA meeting beforehand, there's a bunch of groups of people that come to this building that looks like nothing from the street and walk outside, changed people all the time. How much do you charge for that? So I know what the owner of the building charges up for rent. So the place has to pay that, and the electricity, and the materials you've got in your hands, and the printing, and the photocopying, and the video, and all these people's time and energy. So you have to investigate your mind. How can you contribute to that? And that's what I mean. It's your Three Jewels.
Yeah.
Because when you come here, you're changing. It's your space. I offer my time, all the other teachers here offer their time, because we were fortunate enough that somebody did it to us. So what I'm saying is, find it in your heart to try and keep this place going and alive. It's worth something, and the results are way bigger than the dollar amount you put in the jar, and it's much more than the wealth that that can produce, and we'll go into that another time. But if you just have the intention that you're allowing people to get ideas in their minds that will transform them with every dollar that you contribute, something will happen in your mind about shifting. Yeah, and it's a funny line to talk about money in Buddhist space, in my head, but just cook it in your head. Let it simmer there. Yeah. My turn. Those things are mental. So, what's the word Dharma mean? Do you know what Dharma means, people? Sorry?
That which holds you up.
That which holds you up. What's the traditional basic Dharma? Dharma.
Teaching.
Huh? Teaching. The Dharma is the teaching, right? The books of Buddhism, the Dharma. Yeah. Oh, give me some Dharma. Yeah. They also means existing object. It just a Dharma is a realization, the highest Dharma is the perception of emptiness, of ultimate reality. That's the highest Dharma. Yeah, there are two types of Dharma. You can divide them into two types. One is the Dharma, the realizations, as they exist in the people that have these realizations. Geshe and Michael Roach. For those of you who are fortunate enough to have met him and see him in that way, this is a being on this planet who seems to be a human initially, and then exhibits quality of somebody who has understood the direct nature of reality, and then applies that wisdom to every action he does. The things that we're talking about, if you imagine that a being like that is possible, a Geshe Michael Roach would be that kind of being. The things that mind holds, that's a Dharma. That's the ultimate Dharma. That ultimate creature called Geshe Michael Roach, that enlightened being, for those of you who can see a human on that path at that level, has dharmas in their mind, yeah, and they came from the books, the dharmas. Those things came from the dharmas, yeah. So at the end of the Abhidharma Kosha, I think, which is this great big book, it predicts how long the Dharma will stay on this planet, helping people get realized. And the first one that dies is the Dharma of the mind, the realizations of the mind. Those three trainings. People stop figuring out how to apply morality. People stop figuring out how to apply concentration on the right thing. As this planet evolves through its cycle, people will stop understanding directly the perception of ultimate reality. Those are the things that die out first in the cycle. It says in the Abhidharma Kosha. So the mind dharmas, the first three that we talked about, they're the ones that will vanish first. These are the things we've just talked about. Your teacher must have these to some degree. Yeah? They must have these. The other dharmas, the books, the knowledge, these are the next three. Yeah? They're the ones that die later. Like, you imagine a time, and I hope it's far away, where people don't know the meaning of these things. That there are books in libraries that people don't understand what they mean. So that's the second dharma, is the books. So can you say Lungi Chuk, number 4? Lungi Chuk. Yeah, there it is. This is another quality. He or she must be rich in scriptural knowledge. It's not enough for them to have morality, concentration and wisdom and live it. It's not enough for them to be really pure and really focused and understand the nature of reality to some degree. They must also have a strong scriptural knowledge. They must be able to say to you, the stuff I'm telling you comes from this book or that book or those words spoken by the Buddha, another enlightened being. Or must be able to correlate, Jesus said this because of this and that, and can prove it to you in the dharmas. Do you see? They must be able to point to the wisdoms that go beyond themselves. Because otherwise it's not good enough to say, hey, I had this experience the other day, and you really should try it. You're going to get to enlightenment, and it's not that. You must check that they have reliable sources.
You check your sources too.
Yeah, exactly, and you go check the sources.
Your teachers can tell you the wrong stuff just
Exactly.
Scriptural authority?
Scriptural knowledge, rich in scriptural knowledge. They know their stuff, basically. They know the physical Dharma. Yep. Okay. And the first time I started hearing all the lists in Buddhism, 84,000 mental afflictions, 35 steps in the path of seeing out of the 5 paths. You think, who in the hell has the capacity of concentration to actually count 35 stages of the path of seeing? And then come out of meditation and go, all right, there were 35 of them. 84,000 mental afflictions. Who has the capacity, the concentrated capacity to do that, if not beings that are already realized, if not ultimately to some degree? So you need to go to those sources. Yeah? I like tomato sauces. Can you say Denyi Rak? Sorry. Yeah. So this is another one of the dharmas, of the physical dharmas. They have to a deep realization of suchness, they say, of thusness, a deep realization of suchness. So they must know scripturally a rich understanding of emptiness. Yeah? And Je Tsongkapa in the Langrun Cheno says, a person who has a training of wisdom to a very high degree. And we had already covered this, right? In number 3. This is a bit deeper than that. Yeah?
Scriptural
In depth. Well, actually, when I read the text, there were lots of different commentaries on what that meant, and it really means at this level must have a direct perception of emptiness. Yeah. And if you can't find that, at least, and Je Tsongkapa says some good books say at least a special understanding of the scripture through intellect, through logic, at the very least. So that's number 5. Number 6 is say Jungten Lakpa. Jungten Lakpa. Number 6. Somewhere. Yeah. Yeah. Of course. And this is they must possess spiritual qualities that exceeds that of their students. So their knowledge of the books should be greater than the students, than your knowledge of the books, where this wisdom comes from. Not only have the books, but obviously the first 3 trainings have some realization in their minds about them, right? In order to help you. Right? In order to help you. So then the next 3, those 6 altogether, the first 3 and the second 3, relate totally to the teacher themselves, who they are, what kind of being they are, right? Mind and the Dharma. The next 4 will relate to the way the teacher interacts with you, right? So that's why I divided them this way rather than that way. So say Makeden, is that number 7? Yeah. Makeden. Make is speak wisely, and Keden is Make is speak wisely, and Den has that quality, and here it means that they're a master instructor. They know their students' capacity, so they know not to go over here, depending on the students. They know the capacity of the student and in what sequence to feed it so it gets in. Yeah? There's no point in jumping to the most philosophical if you don't understand the basics. There's no point in speaking only of the basics if there's people in the room who need that thing. So they must have that capacity. Yeah? So that was Makteden, their master instructor. Say Sewa? Dakni. Sewa? Dakni. Sewa is love, and Daki is an embodiment, or the person is something like that. Here is that they are love. They are, to you, they are the embodiment of love. They are compassion. What does that mean? It means that you must see them teaching because they want you to get something. They're not teaching because they can get good tea, beautiful flowers, reputation, airplane tickets, pointy hats. You know, they're teaching because they have a love in them. You perceive a love in them that they want you to get it. Yeah? If you see that quality, they're a good teacher for you. Yeah? I keep exiting with for you. So they are the embodiment of love. They are the image of love. Not to gain fame and the rest. Say Tsunche. So Tsun means effort and Che means he has, or they have. and it means joyful effort. It means they are happy when helping others. Effort here doesn't mean like brute force or hard work, or it's not that kind of effort. Effort means here they are happy when they are really helping others. You see that quality in them when they like light up if they help other people. It's
Doesn't
not.
it mean they're not easily discouraged as well?
No, that's another quality coming up.
Oh.
Excellent. Good on ya. Yeah, good. So joy in helping others. The other way to say it is the love is firm. Yeah, but they have a deep-rooted. You see their efforts coming out with happiness. Yeah. And number 10, say kyoa, pang. I like this one because kyoa means tired or tired with or whatever, and pang means got rid of it. Yeah. So you got rid of being tired. What does that mean?
Don't get tired.
Yeah. Don't get tired.
Do it over and over and over again.
Exactly. They don't get tired of doing it over and over and over again. Doesn't matter how stupid the students are. No, they don't get they don't get tired of saying the same thing over and over until people get it. Yeah? It's like joy for them to go back over and over and over and over for your sake. So, when I was thinking of talking to you about Sunche, which is joyful effort, which is different to the paramitas, right, to the 6, it's slightly different to that. I was thinking about Sam. He has this all the time. I have never seen a person that is so happy giving his time to other people. Like he stands up and goes, "Oh, everyone come to this. I'm so happy to tell you. The 3 jewels, I'm so happy. Hector, can you need this?" It's incredible, Sam.
Wow.
Like I learned from you. Seriously, thank you. Yeah, and Jeremy. If you've seen Jeremy walk around this place, yeah, check it out. This guy has it. Yeah, Jamie does it. She goes to the soup kitchen. She does all these things. Yeah, look out for that. That's one of these good qualities that turn into something. Yes, Sam?
I do that because when that's the easiest way to become happy if you are unhappy. And you're thinking about yourself and you're like, oh, I don't have enough money, I'm going to shut my cable off tomorrow. You know, like what do I do? And then when you realize that to turn your attention onto other people, you just kind of become happy. And you do it without stressful.
Of course, just like everybody in Manhattan is doing that.
Yeah.
Just like that. Of course you do. That's the only reason. Yeah, of course, that's the only reason. Just like everyone else. No, you're incredible at it, and you're fantastic, and people will learn from you. And so he's already got a really good level of that quality. Watch out for him. Yeah. Watch out. So.
Be promoted.
So the Lam Rinpoche Je Tsongkapa then comments about these are the 10 qualities. So you just got the 10 qualities. How to check the teeth, the legs, the hoofs, of your teacher. Like before you let somebody mess in your brain with the thing that will ultimately get you somewhere. I mean, if someone screws you up by teaching you, by getting you a bad habit like smoking, that will hurt you. Yeah, I mean. When having sex with strangers, you check whether they got any diseases, right? HIV, whatever. That'll kill you once. Yeah? Seriously. But letting somebody meddle in your mental continuum, if you believe in mental continuum, and we're not going to prove past lives now, if you popped into this world with certain qualities of mind, yeah, so you're a virtuoso piano player, where the hell did that come from? And why didn't the other sister get that? And so people pop into this world already prone with certain imprints of mind. Something caused them to be that way. In Buddhist terms, they say something before caused that, before they came here, which is where they were before, which is another life. But we'll get into that in more detail. If people screw with that, lifetime after lifetime, by teaching you a virtue, a non-virtue as a virtue, then you're screwed for a long time. So you need to check these things. Yeah? So the Lama Rinpoche says, someone who's perceived emptiness directly, who has a deep understanding of emptiness, who understands all the scriptures, who, has the 3 trainings, who's living perfect morality. If you have to find someone like that, it says, you probably won't find anybody at all in this kind of world. So that's another disclaimer. If you're really looking for some person like that, it's likely you might not come across someone like that. And if you are fortunate enough to have come across someone like that, stay close to them. If you have the good fortune of perceiving a person with as many of these qualities as naturally come out of you when you see them, stay close to them. Stay really close to them. Yeah, and you can swap Buddhist names for path and this and that, for morality, for being an incredible human, to whatever capacity you've got. If you find a person that exhibits those kind of qualities in your world, stay close to them. So now I had to figure out, how do I talk, well, why am I teaching? I haven't got any of those really. Who am I teaching? So I have to admit that I've got some faults. And what that means is, for those of you who stick in class, I'll probably infect you with some of those things. Some of the things that I haven't fixed yet. And it doesn't matter how much I'll try, because I don't know them yet. I don't know how to fix them yet. It's likely that you'll get some imprint from that.
You don't mind the bad jokes.
I wasn't thinking that the bad jokes was one of them. So I need to be mindful, but you need to be mindful too. Yeah. I realize I don't have these qualities to the degree that a student should need them, but I have had the incredible fortune of meeting somebody who did. Yeah, and so if any of you, and I'm not even making it up. I mean, initially I saw Geshe Roach as a weird dude, but eventually I did, in a skirt, and then eventually I got to see that this person put things kindly in my mind over 15 years that utterly transformed the way I'm experiencing the world. And now I'm getting the big fish, I'm getting some of those goldfish in my net. And they were, the net was being cast 15 years ago. So, although I may not have all these qualities, and you'll probably get some of my skewed view on desire, or my skewed view, just the basic 10 non-virtues, to some degree I see something bad happen to someone, and I don't get unhappy instantly. I have to force my mind to do that.
You just told us.
Yeah. So I'm saying that's from my side. I need to make more efforts, but at least I know where to get the information, is what I'm saying. Yeah. So I make diligent efforts to make sure you get the essence of where this comes from. 1,000 years in the lands of Tibet, 2,500 years of people transferring books and the spoken word, traced back all the way to the being who had this first experience on the planet from our perception. And you can, that's why the lineage is so important. That's why keeping to the Dharma books is so important, so people don't get infected with bad teachers' problems. But from your side, and you started this, from your side you can do a bunch of things, and you should do a bunch of things. You should check these things, but you should also check the content. Go and check out more about emptiness. If it's that big deal, because it keeps coming up everywhere, emptiness, wisdom, it's everywhere, right? Find out what the hell that is, not just from this source. Triangulate your learning. Go check it out from other teachers. Yeah? Just check that they're telling you, that they're not telling you to drop off, that nothing exists or things exist totally. Yeah? and check that they're talking about it with karma.
One of the things that Geshe always emphasized was even, if this is your first class with me, and I'm just some weird guy in a fun-looking skirt. He used to say things like that.
He was?
Many years ago as well. And he'd say, so check out the students. Are the teachers' students telling the truth? Are the teachers' students happy?
True.
Are the students
Beautiful.
living with morality? Are the students studying, and do it for 12 years?
Yeah. Beautiful. That's fantastic. Yeah, so stop lying. I don't make me a better teacher. No. So I need you to think about these things. Yeah. Next week you're going to get it because we're going to figure out what makes a good student. Next week we're going to talk about what makes a good student. No, but seriously, think about this. This is your entire experience of the world. There's nothing that happens in your world, no physical or mental thing, that does not get interpreted by your mind, your stream of your continuum. And you can change that. But everything, what you taste, what you hear, everything is interpreted by your mind. And you could fine-tune that to make sure that everything that gets interpreted is gold and bright and sunny and diamond and all the other nice blissful words. How to do that? It's possible. There are beings who do it. There's beings who have done it. And there's enough information on how to do it. But you need to put some effort from your side. What if this is the beginning of some magical transformation? What if this is the end of normalizing your world, expecting things to turn to shit normally like they do everywhere? What if in your mind, in your heart, you've got the seeds to get utterly happy? Really, everything you dislike about this world disappears, and once you figured it out, all the people that you know around you, you can genuinely help because you know how to do it. And that's what I started the class with, like thinking, where are you coming from with your motivation? What do you think is possible? And to whatever degree you've got that, push it a little bit more. You can have the normal existence that's waiting for us out on 4th Avenue doing this. I mean, all you need to do is a simple thing. Look at people that are doing what you think you're doing 10 years ahead of you, 15 years ahead of you. People that have been doing the same thing that you think you should be doing and that I've been doing for 10, 15 years, and see their level of experience in the world. I wanted to be a filmmaker, and then I looked at all the filmmakers that were 15 or 20 years older than me, and I didn't want to be a filmmaker. Instantly. Yep. Think about it. This is a rare thing. We talked about that at the beginning of class 1. There is nothing like this. This is the beginning. There's 3 waves of Eastern philosophy that came to the West in the late 1800s, and then in the 1960s. There's a bunch of, and now, and in this last, in the 70s, and so on. And now there's a resurgence again of Eastern philosophies with yoga and Buddhism coming into, and other mystic things coming into the West. And there's a bunch of things that are landing here that never left there. They're our invention here. It's very rare to figure out what's right about that and what's wrong about that, what will help us and what will not help us. Yeah? So this tradition, this lineage of the Dalai Lamas, has such a meticulous record of verbal and written communication all the way back to the Buddha. For you to check. It's nothing about the stuff, it's about your experience with it. So with that, think about what you're going to do with it. If you haven't begun doing your homeworks and quizzes, I highly encourage it, because it lets you review these things and actually puts a flavor over every experience you're going to have in your week. It will change you if you let it, with your control. So if you're doing your homeworks and quizzes, I think if you could memorize some of those things, and they're in your readings, yeah, and find a buddy that they can teach you, and we'll start doing that every week. Think again about renunciation, why things don't work in the normal sense. Yeah? Okay. Is there another way? Is there a different way? And really get that, because without that, you can't jump into the other two paths. And I hope something moves in you. Really, it's the only reason for doing this. Yeah? It's the only reason. Look at somebody you love that's hurting. Look at somebody that is desperately looking for happiness that you love. And no amount of throwing money at them or consoling them helps them really, because they're going to find themselves in that habit again or whatever it is. And imagine that you could find the thing that can ultimately help them. And if that was possible, then you've got a doorway to it here. But you got to figure it out. It's your. I mean, I can only do the blah blah. You've got to do the interpreting and the effort. So with that, two things we're going to do. This thing is offering of the mandala, which means to the best of your capacity, you're imagining the most blissful universe you can experience, where there's absolutely no suffering. Let your mind sit on that for a little bit. There's no suffering at all. All suffering stops. And in its place is every single bliss you've ever had condensed in a millisecond, multiplied through eternity. Imagine that in physical form. You can see mountains of gold and showers of flower petals, whatever it is for you. But the sensation is that you imagine creating a world from you and around you, that a universe that is utterly blissful. All suffering has ended. There's no death, no sickness, no suffering. And then you offer it, you give it away to the most enlightened being you can imagine. That's that one. And then after that, we're going to do the offering, the dedication, where any good virtue that we've created, any merit in your hearts, any good feelings that you had today, any genuine depth of sensations that you had in your core about it's possible to get free, imagine that going to every single being you can imagine and touching them as they hurt, as they fall over and try their stupid things, drinking and looking for happiness with partners and looking for happiness with work and looking for happiness in all the wrong places that doesn't last. People in sick beds, people with terminal illnesses, people that are lonely. Imagine that feeling you had today and dedicate it to them. Imagine them touching them, and when it touches them, they get free. Yeah, so that's the second part. So let's try that.
Ukir Geshe Metoktam Viral Inchin Embodies Sangha Shindu Mite Vilargi Drobun Nanda Shinla Tuparsho Yam Guru Ratnamandala Kamninyatayami Kiwa Nigeoku Sunam Yeshe Soksokshim Sunam Yeshe Lejenwe Nampa Kuni Toparsho.
Finally, just imagine that being at the top of your head, the crown of your head, still there, getting smaller and smaller until the tiny size of your small fingernail, and entering the crown of your head and descending down to the level of your heart, just in front of the spine, slowly, slowly descending until they reach to the level of your heart. And in there they find a place, a jewel, where they sit, containing all the essence of wisdom that we've talked about, and they're in your core. Let them be there. Thanks for coming. For those of you who want to stay and have a 15-minute conversation about the many projects that we've started already, Birdie's going to talk about we're going to talk with Birdie about the 108 Human Lives Project. In a year's time around about, a bunch of us will go to Nepal and help 108 homeless people who have illnesses, and the rest get fixed to the best of our ability. Yeah. The point is to put these things into practice rather than letting them be intellectual. So there's a bunch of needs. We need filmmakers, photographers, we need schedulers, we need travel agents, we need fundraisers. But we've got a good basis for a project. A bunch of people are already excited to participate. We're going to have a debrief for 15 minutes now to talk about the kind of things that will happen at the project, and then who wants to be involved in what. We're going to talk about the motivation and how to put these things into practice, into something like that. The other thing in terms of projects is, and we can do this later, is I've already given you too many lists. The list of the 10 virtues, the 2 divisions of a Buddha, the 3 trainings, the 84,000 mental afflictions, and we're keeping a list of lists. And I haven't got I'm doing it, but I would like to invite somebody that wants to keep a list and they want a project. All they have to do is go, this week we had this list, and they just start keeping a list. Yeah, list of lists. And then we've got the book of the teachers, Je Tsongkapa, Pabongka Rinpoche, Rinpoche, all the people that we're learning from, all these beings. We're keeping a record of their biographies and what teachings they give us and who they are. And that's being kept with Sam at the moment, but it'd be great to get some help with that. So if someone wants to collect those.
So who did we added today? We added
a Sangha, yeah, and a Tisha. Well,
Tisha,
talk about a
and
Tisha.
then little Maitreya.
Yeah, I didn't talk too much about Maitreya. Yeah. So any of those that want to talk about those other projects, we'll talk about next week. For now, if you want to stay, Nepal. Thank you for coming.
Does anyone here draw?